welcome all to my Arakni deck. I briefly mentioned having every assassin and ninja built in some way in my IRA and uh, my Azuri video, but here's the Arakni Solitary Confinement. I have the other Arakni as well, it's just I prefer this one's better. But pretty simple. It's a young assassin hero, my favorite class. I got the playmat and everything. The surgical extraction. With 19 health, that was the only problem about this guy. You're a little squishier than I'd like, but 4 intellect. And so at least he ain't added all with the 3 intellect. But your first attack with stealth each turn gains go again. And so if you've seen the Azari video, first off, you haven't, please go check it out. It's my favorite deck to play, and it's just, in general, I love that deck. You might notice a lot of these equipment are the same because we're on the same type of deck. It's an outsider's assassin, but we are going to be making the good old-fashioned inertia. I don't think we actually make ponder, but they're good to have. Blood rot, pox, and frailty. Frailty is your weapon attacks and attacks from arsenal have -1, destroy at the end phase. Blood rot, pox is the beginning of the end phase, destroy it, then deals 2 damage to you unless you pay 3. And for inertia, I mean, is at the beginning of your end phase, destroy inertia, then put all cards from your hand and arsenal on the bottom of your deck. And you just kind of want to give these to your opponent. These can be really crippling to what deck you give them to at the right time, if you can make them. Because we can just, like, for Elatia, Katsura, and the Assassin Mirror, and their daggers and Kadachis are just out of the game for that round. The Blood Rot Pox against someone that's like red aligned, where it's like a 5 where you run a lot of reds and they all have trouble paying the 3. It's just 2 more damage. And then Inertia's just, it just messes up Ranger mainly, because it destroys the arsenal everyone wants to like heavily set up for a turn. So we're going to want to give out those to, depends on what we're up against, who we give them to at what time. But for our hands, we got, you might notice, like I said, this is the same like equipment list from the Zuri deck, so you could, if you've seen it once or, but you honestly don't need the expensive equipment in this list because they aren't like go-tos, they're just like things I can swap into for stuff like the Zuri deck in this, if I feel like it. This is a more just for fun assassin deck. The Zuri deck is the more like serious one, I would say. But we got the 1 scale peeler, which is the dagger with for 2 attack with go again, piercing 1, swings for 1. When it hits a hero, the next time they defend with 1 or more equipment this turn, those equipment have -1 while defending. So this is just like, we run this into Guardian. This is this dagger is for fighting Guardian. We don't really use it, or like a class that has a lot of armor, Guardian, Warrior, maybe the Assassin Mirror will take 1 and 2. But then we got the 2 Spider's Bites, which are both, we have the mirrored ones from Dynasty. For 2, it's an attack with go again, piercing 1, swing for 1. The only difference between it and the Scale Peeler is when it hits a hero, the next time they defend with 1 or more attack action cards this turn, those cards have -1 while defending, so it just messes up their normal blocks, and a lot of the time we're going to be taking at least 1 Spider's Bite into every game we play, because it's just so good. So we can just, worst case scenario, we can always just pitch to go with the daggers. If I were to play this, I'd probably take the new, what is it called? Plague Hive out of my Azuri deck and just like swap it in. I got the same color card sleeves and everything for just like one of my random, just for fun cards, because I just really like the Plague Hive dagger combo where I can just, especially for the late game, and it's just, I'm not gonna be honest, I can't afford to buy a Plague Hive for every assassin deck I want and ranger deck I think about building. So So then we also could, in one of our hands, have the offhand equipped Ornate Tessin, which is the instant for one resource, destroy it. Put a card from your hand on the bottom of your deck. If you do, draw a card. And this is just we just kind of, if we need to in some matchups, we might only need one dagger and we might need more hand fixing. If we feel that way, we can always go with the Tessin. Then we got 4 options for Helmet. Let's do them in the reverse order of how often we use them. One of the cards that makes this not a budget deck is Crown Dominion. This is just your hero's royal and you start with a gold token. So you have that additional, you can sack it and pay 2 to draw a card. And it's just, I like it. I have the gold foil one, I want to run it in a lot of decks, and it's just like, if I'm playing a game super casually, I'll be like, yeah, I'm the royal assassin. Following up, we got Cold Foil Ragamuffin's hat. If you couldn't tell, I tend to use Cold Foil or some kind of foil hats, which is it can technically block, but does it for 0. Instant, you destroy it, draw a card, put a card from your hand on top of the bottom of your deck. Activates mainly only if you have 1 card in hand. And it's just kind of like it fixes your turn a little bit if you need to. It's not our go-to hat for actually playing, but it's just more of a casual one that I really like. So I just, an assassin favorite class, so I keep the cold foil one with my assassin stuff, because if I'm going to play a game, I'm going to play assassin a lot of the time. And we have the cold foil Mask of Shifting Perspective. Got this from the first pack of the Outsiders pre-release that I opened. It's got Blade Break 1, so it's a little more. I like this one more than I like the other 2 a lot with this Arakni, because it just kind of helps you stay alive for the most part. Attack, reaction, destroy it. Whenever a dagger hits this turn, you may put a card from your hand on the bottom of your deck. If you draw a card, which just kind of fixes your hand if you're gonna hit with your daggers, but after you use it, like, you swing the first dagger, attack, react, and they don't block it. And it's not the greatest, but it gets the job done if you really need it to. But we have the Mask of Malicious Manifestation, my go-to mask for playing Assassin. This one is Assassin Range, the other one was Assassin Ninja. Blade Break 1 still, but for action 1 resource, put a card from your hand or arsenal on bottom of your deck. Destroy Mask of Malicious Manifestation. Reveal cards from the top of your deck until you reveal an attack action card. Put into your hand, then shuffle. Go again. So it's kind of like the Tessin a little bit. I mean, worst case scenario, it's the Blade Break 1, and it's just 1 more health that they have to get through, and it can stop Dominates a little bit from like a Bravo. But yeah, I'm gonna go over. It's the exact same. So you like the Azuri. I keep all these equipments with the Azuri, and I just keep these 2 Arachnis in the same box next to Azuri. We got very basic Iron Rot Plate, Blade Break 1, defense, Iron Rot Leggings, same, just generic Blade Break 1 defense. It's 1 more health, and that never hurts. Iron Rot Leggings is if I don't have if I don't have a piece that I want in that spot specifically, I will go with Iron Rot because it's 1 more health. And it's just like, yeah, there are technically ways to get past my 1 more health, but still, it's helpful to have 1 more health in a lot of characters. Like, I use Iron Rot Leggings on Bravo because there's no real good Guardian Leggings for him. But then we have Bladed Cuff as one of our arms choices. We got 4 to be specific. I also got this rainbow foil one from the pre-release. I was rocking this leggings that were basically useless in my deck, and the Mask of Malicious Manifestation at the pre-release, and it's like, yeah, I should have used probably something else. But hey, I only lost around to fatigue and I was on Azuri, and so. But Blade Break 1, you can just, but for 2, destroy Blade Cup, your daggers gain +1 this turn, and that has go again. So we could always just, if we're running Bladed Cuff and the Mask of Shifting Perspective, we can always just, for 2, break it, going with a dagger, going with a going with the dagger, break the mask, going with the other dagger, and that's 6 total resources. So that's just like 2 blues, which isn't the hardest to get in Assassin. Because a lot of time we want just like dagger and something else with a lot of assassins, except maybe not this one. But then we have a very good one, Toxic Tips. And this is one of the 2 we'll mainly use in this deck. It's Blade Break 1 again. This is the Assassin Ranger arms. That's the Assassin Ninja arms at common. But for Blade Break 1 resource, destroy Toxic Tips. The next attack action card you play this turn gains when this hits a hero, create a Frailty, Inertia, or Blood Pox token under their control, and that has Go again. So we'll just, like, we can break that, push some damage through with this deck in our stealth, with our stealth mechanics, and then just give them, like, Inertia or Blood Rot Pox, maybe Frailty if that's what really messes them up. And that's one of our 2 go-to arms. Then we have the Vembrance of Determination. You don't really need Vembrance of Determination. I only like it because my stores, I pulled it from the booster box I opened on Twitch at the same name as this channel, actually, I believe. And Vembrance of Determination, it makes it harder to defend with, like, prevention effects, and there are a lot of those at my store. Like, there's 3 or 4 illusionist players on average, and there's like some guardians, some warriors that all got defense, prevention, damage effects in their deck somehow. But the next prevention effect that prevents damage this turn prevents 1 less damage, and that's for 1 resource on a once per turn attack reaction. Or it has when this defends, you may pay 1. If you do, this gains +1 Blade Break, so it can be that little bit more health that you might want. But then there is, outside of Toxic Tips, there is my personal favorite, Fisticuffs. Fisticuffs is my favorite because it is just attack reaction for 2 resources, destroy it, target attack gains +1 damage. It's so simple, but it gets the job done. Like, you fully blocking and Fisticuffs it up 1 more damage. So you always have to, if I still have this in play, and I have a card in my hand, you'll have to account for it when you play against me. Because I could always just, like, Fisticuffs and get my on hit. But then for the deck, we got, we're going to start by showing you what takes advantage of Arakni's ability to give Stealth and Go again. Starting with the strongest Stealth card, we got 5 of it, at least from Arakni. Prowl. The 0 attack, the red is 3, the yellow is 2, blue is 1. Run 2 reds, a yellow, and 2 blues. Stealth, of course, which, as you may know, stealth is a keyword that does nothing, but it will have Go again if it's the first card we play. And then, well, the first attack card with stealth we play. They block 3, but the next attack with stealth you play this combat chain gains +1 damage, which is just pretty good to have set up. Just, we can go in with the Prowl, we can go in with something else off Arakni's ability. Then we're just going very basic 2 infects, being a red and a blue one. Block 3, 0 cost, 1 attack and 3 attack. If it hits, create a Blood Rot Pox under their control. You just kind of poison them a bit. It's not the most needed in this build, but hey, it can get the job done. Then we got 6 Withers, all of colors, 0 drop, block 3, 3, 2, and 1 for the attacks. You're gonna notice that might be a lot. Stealth, when it hits a hero, create a Frailty under that player's control. And finally, not finally, we have another entire 3 stealth cards after this. Sedate, which is, when it hits a hero, you create inertia under their token under their control. 0 drop, attack for 3, stealth. We have about 21, I believe, stealth cards. 3, 2, 1 for the attacks, and we're running 5 of those, all but only 1 blue. This deck could be better if I ran like full copies of everything. Like this is a card I want to get full copies of eventually, being Isolate. Isolate is insane. It's the 0 drop, block 3, stealth, attacks for 1, 2, or 3 across its cards, but it has Dominate. And that Dominate is so important in every deck we want to use with stealth. Like, I don't know if I can get the camera to. Where's the cam? No, because where it's positioned with play, I cannot. I'm sorry. Show you, like, but the Dominate is just. It's the best one in Azuri. The only reason we have 3 here is because we got 6 in Azuri. I didn't pull that many from the one box I opened. But the reason we want to hit things and go in with these stealthy attacks is, like the Isolates, is first off we're running one of each copy of Toxify. 0 drop block 2. The next Assassin or Ranger attack action card you play this turn gains when this hits a hero, they lose 5 health, 4 health, 3 health, but it's still a big chunk of damage that they'll be losing if. So we could go in with like the Isolate. Even after playing this, they can only block once if we use an attack reaction, like the Fisticuffs, to raise it. They're just going to be taking maybe even an additional 5 on top of like the 1 they'd normally take. So that's just, you poison them for more damage. I really like the way the card plays. Then we got one of my personal favorite arts from the set. 6 Razor's Edges. It's 0 drop block 3. Target attack action card with stealth gets +3, +2, +1 across the different lines of it. And it's just, you throw out the attack with, like, we can easily throw out, like, throw down the Toxify, throw out something with stealth, you think you're safe, Razor's Edged up. And then you're hit with not only the extra damage from Razor's Edge that would have put it over, that puts it over whatever you blocked, plus Toxify. And you might think, well, what if they just block enough to where you can't Razor's Edge over it? That's just them wasting cards at that point, because it plays like Dorinth. Because this is an attack react deck. It plays very similar to Dorinthia, so if you like Dorinthia's playstyle and like attack react decks, I would suggest the new Assassins, Azuri and Arakni, of Solitary Confinement. They're just so nice. You can just go in. If they block fully, you don't. If they do, you up the damage. Spike with Frailty, which is for 1, block 3. I have the store promo that I got, but from playing at my LGS, but in the Blitz events. But target attack action with stealth gets +3, and when it hits hero, create a frailty token under their control. So we just kind of hit them with that, and then they get a frailty. Spike with Blood Rot, which is the same thing, 1 drop, 3 defense. Target attack with stealth gains +3, but when it hits, they create a Blood Rot Pox token under control. I also have the fancy art for that one. We got the 1 of Spike with Inertia, which is the, as you probably could have guessed, 1 drop, block 3, target attack action with stealth gains +3. When it hits, they create an Inertia under their control. Now we get into the just for fun cards, which I'm thinking about. These are the ones I always think about swapping around or like moving around what they do. But I just kind of like them, and this is my more for fun assassin deck than Azuri. Like, if I really wanted this to be like a good deck, I would be running like just some kind of big attack that they need to block. Like I'd have Wounded Bolt or Findle's Fighting Spirit in here in these slots. These are just kind of more for fun slots. So we got the 2 blue Hurls, which is a 0 drop block 2. Go again, swing for 1. But as an additional cost to play Hurl, you may pay 1 resource. When you do, it gains, when this attack target hero you control, deal 1 damage to that hero. Hold on. Target 1 dagger you control, destroy it, and deal 1 damage to the hero. If it dealt damage this way, the dagger hits a hit, has hit, and you destroy the dagger. So it's just, it's a little complex, and it was very hard for me to read for some reason, even though I know what it does, but it's just like, let's say my setup is like this, and I have one resource in hand. After I go in with the hurl, I can go in with the hurl, and then sack this dagger. If you take the one, it triggers the on hit of my dagger, but my dagger's then destroyed. So it's kind of like an even trade-off, because I can, and sometimes you can just go for the style turn and end somebody by throwing the dagger at them. It's very similar to the Assassin Ninja Arms flick knives that I want to get a copy of for these. But then we have these are definitely the like, if you really want to be playing Arakni Solitary Confinement, you probably want either the rest of those stealth attacks or something, maybe something a bit with a bit more oomph to it, like Wounded Bull, Findle's Fighting Spirit. Like there's just better things you could be running in place of these. Or like honestly just like the surgical extraction if you have the normal assassin kit. Something that just gives you that like added level of damage. But this is just more of a super casual Arachne build. If you want to see a more like intense assassin build, I would play in like an event. My Azuri build is more that speed, and that's not even optimized to the heavens and back. We got Inertia Trap, which is when a defense reaction for Ranger and Assassin, block 3, 0 drop. When this defends an attack with greater than space, create an inertia token under the hero's control. Frailty Trap as a 1 of. Red, defend 3. When this defends an attack with go again, create a frailty token under the hero's control. So we can just like, we can straight up block a Kadachi, and then their next Kadachi has -1. Or block a dagger, the next dagger has -1. And my personal favorite, sorry, that was just sometimes happening outside. Blood Rot Trap, which brings up the why they have to call it Blood Rot Pox. You could have literally just called it Blood Rot, Rot Pox, or Blood Pox. This is just called Blood Rot Trap. But block 3, 0 drop, Assassin Ranger defense reaction, Trap. When this defends and the attacking hero has played or activated a reaction this chain link, create a Blood Rot Pox token on control. So this is the hardest to get off, but when you do, it's really nice. So I'm just going to shuffle up the deck and show you maybe how a turn would play out with Arakni. And once again, if I were to play this, I would like, if the person's okay with me taking a sack, I would probably put in the Plague Hive from my Azuri that just, it lives in my Azuri deck, so that's, and take out like maybe the second Blood Rot Pox trap. That way I have one of each, for like the flavor of one of each. And like, yeah, if I want to play traps, I should be playing Riptide, but it's like, not really a big range. I'll probably end up building Riptide one day, because there's, have like every hero built. But just shuffle this up and show you how it works like we did with the other deck. This does play wildly different to Azuri, despite them both being stealth assassin decks. Get the pile going. Yeah, but if you want to play like a more built Azuri, I'd probably recommend like Wounded Bulls, and especially in places like the traps, and maybe even in places with the hurls, Findle's Fighting Spirit, any of those like attacks that are better though less health if you have less health. And then you could go in for like some more serious equipment if you want, like the other daggers might be nice. You can always use like black text on your legs, Redback Shroud, the new legendary for your chest. Crown of Province is good no matter who you put it on. You technically have less health, so you can use like Skull Bone Trap, wherever it is. It's like so let's cut the deck for the heck of it. Hurl, Spike, Prowl, Razor's Edge. Personally, I'd play this out as use the Hurl to go in with most likely Spider's Bite. So they just have that like one piece of pressure. Then we'd go in with the Prowl. And so the Prowl is just for one. They might not block up because they know our next stealth attack is going to have go. This has going on our next stealth attack. This combat chain gains +1, so we get this little bit of a mind trick where we can, since we still have one resource floating, we can spike with inertia and Razor's Edge it for 4 more, so it's up to 5, which is a little difficult to block even if they did choose to block it. And then they're hit with the spike with inertia, so they get an inertia token on their first turn, which is always a little awkward to try and play around. Early frailty is like something that's a little annoying to play around. Did I just shuffle in the dagger? I did. So we're saying keep them in different color sleeves. Let's get another quick shuffle going. A little bit of this action. I do definitely prefer the playstyle of Zuri, but this is a nice change where I still get to like play Assassin. And I wanna, if it wasn't so expensive, I'd build like the full kitted out Arakni because I like how it is now. It's just not great how it is now. So let's see what we get. Sedate, Infect, Wither, we'll have the full set, and Hurl. We could honestly just dagger off the Hurl, dagger off the Sedate, Wither, and then Infect for 4 attacks, being a 1/1. If they don't block the ones, then blocks for the 3 that gives them a frailty and the 3 that gives them a blood rot box are messed up. And we just try and it's just kind of like a hit 'em attack reacty kind of deck. Like it's very mind games. It's like half aggro, half mind games. And we can just apply so much pressure, especially if we like go in blood rot box. Let's just do one more quick shuffle, because shuffle it up. Alright. The trap, spike with blood rot, wither, sedate. So I would definitely start with the sedate. See if any of that's gonna get through. If it is, we can always spike it with blood rot. But I would want wither to be our go. Like start with either whichever one you would want them to have the token of first, and if it's gonna get through, you pitch the blood rot trap and spike whichever one it would get through with the spike with blood rot, so it goes up to 5. Because if they only block 3, you can spike it up and they'll take 2 and get a blood rot and then either frailty or inertia. But this has been my Arakni Solitary Confinement list. It is not my favorite deck, because that's gotta be my Azuri, but it's a nice change to play off Azuri. Sometimes. If like I just want to do something more casual and not play like the same swap in kind of, because it's a different style of attack react deck. It plays a lot more like Dorinthia in that way than Azuri does. I would definitely recommend checking this guy out if you want something that's similar to like normal Dorinthia, but like still a little different. But thank you all so much for watching. I would highly recommend if you want to see some more of this, like assassin stuff from the new set. Just my Azuri deck is pretty good, if I do say so myself. It's just like, it's Azuri. You can just swap in with the combat trick and maybe like if you catch someone off guard. But these two characters are very much like if you don't know how to play against them, that will be your downfall kind of decks. And so, but yeah, that's where I'm gonna end it. So thank you all so much for watching. Please, if you want to see any more specific like kinds of decks, let me know and I'll try and get those done. Thank you all so much for watching, and that has been my Arakni Stealth Deck video. So if you've liked the video, please remember to like and subscribe.